Let me tell you something uncomfortable. Humanity's biggest danger isn't war or poverty or even corruption. It's comfort. Soft pillows, fast food, scrolling screens, warm rooms, little things that slowly kill the warrior inside you. Once, survival demanded strength, physical, mental, emotional. Now we survive by avoiding struggle. We wake up tired, not because we worked hard, but because our lives have no meaning deep enough to make us earn rest. We live in an age where your phone screams louder than your conscience, where instant dopamine feels more rewarding than long-term purpose, and where the idea of being uncomfortable feels like torture. But here's the brutal truth. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you trade a piece of your soul for pleasure, and one day you look in the mirror and see someone who's alive, but not living. So, if you've ever felt like your mind is dull, your motivation disappears, and your goals feel fake, this isn't depression, my friend. It's the comfort disease. And once you catch it, it doesn't just make you lazy, it makes you fragile, it makes you obedient, and worst of all, it convinces you that weakness is peace. This video isn't about success, it's about survival. Because in a world addicted to comfort, staying strong has become rebellion. It started slowly, a softer bed, a warmer shower, a faster connection. Every invention promised freedom, yet every upgrade made us need it more. The more comfortable life became, the less capable we grew. Think about it. Once, walking miles was normal. Now people complain when the elevator breaks. Once, silence was peaceful. Now, silence makes people anxious. We've mistaken convenience for progress. Our ancestors feared lions. We fear low battery, and we call that evolution. Comfort was supposed to be a gift, but it became a trap. It wraps around you slowly, like warm water, until you can't feel how much weaker you've become. It doesn't kill you, it softens you, just enough that you stop fighting back. Comfort says, rest a little more. Discomfort says, rise. Guess which voice the modern world rewards? Every advertisement whispers, you deserve this. But what they really mean is, we need you addicted. Because comfort sells and discomfort builds character. We've built a generation that can't sit with hunger, silence, boredom, or pain. And yet, those were the very things that built greatness. If you strip comfort away from a man, you meet who he truly is. But give him endless pleasure, and you'll never meet him at all. Only his shadow. This is the illusion we live in. We think comfort equals happiness, but in reality, it equals dependence. And dependence is the quietest form of slavery. You might think weakness is something physical, a body that can't lift, a person that can't fight, but real weakness starts in the mind. And the truth is, it doesn't happen overnight. It's trained, silently, softly, and willingly. We are taught from birth to avoid pain, avoid failure, avoid discomfort. We've built an entire psychology around escape. Instead of teaching resilience, schools teach compliance. Instead of building confidence, social media teaches comparison. And instead of learning how to think, we're trained to feel safe. But here's what no one tells you. Safety kills growth. The same walls that protect you also imprison you. When you're too afraid to lose, you never truly win. And when you never face challenge, you lose the ability to even recognize strength. Think about it. You scroll through perfect lives online, people richer, prettier, happier. You compare your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel, and slowly your mind gives up the idea of becoming great. You start settling for being comfortable. That's the modern weakness. Not failure, but surrender. A quiet giving up before the battle even begins. Because deep down, we We fear struggle more than we fear regret. You tell yourself, I'll start working out when I feel motivated. I'll quit my job when I'm ready. I'll change when it feels right. But comfort ensures that right moment never comes. Machiavelli once said, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." And while he spoke of rulers, the same applies within yourself. You must learn to fear your own weakness more than you love your comfort. Because weakness doesn't announce itself with failure. It disguises itself as logic, as rest, as self-care, as patience. And by the time you realize its control, you're already trapped. Modern psychology loves to blame anxiety, burnout, and depression, but often the cause isn't just trauma. It's the absence of purpose. When life becomes too easy, your mind starts inventing problems to feel alive. That's why people who have everything still feel empty. They've conquered comfort, but lost connection with meaning. And meaning, my friend, only comes through effort. The pain of pursuit, the struggle of creation, the sting of discipline. Those are the very things that build your identity. You can't respect yourself if you never do anything worthy of respect. You can't find peace in ease, because peace was always earned in battle. So, the next time you catch yourself complaining about how hard life is, remember, it's supposed to be hard. That's what keeps you human. Because the moment everything becomes easy, that's when you stop growing. And when growth dies, weakness takes its throne. But here's the tragedy most people never see. Weakness doesn't just make you small, it makes the entire world around you collapse. Because when individuals lose their strength, civilizations start to rot from within. Every great civilization was born from struggle. The ancient empires rose not because their people were comfortable, but because they had to fight. Fire, hunger, danger, uncertainty, those things sharpened the human spirit like a blade. But what happens when there's nothing left to fight? When the wolves are gone and the jungle becomes a shopping mall? We forget what made us strong. We forget the language of resilience. We forget that peace was never meant to be permanent. It was earned through war. You see, struggle gave birth to meaning. Every victory, every discovery, every idea worth remembering came from pain. But the modern world calls pain toxic. It calls discomfort trauma. And it calls discipline oppression. We've turned healing into avoidance and progress into anesthesia. We run from everything that feels unpleasant. The hard conversation, the cold shower, the lonely night, the silent thought. We avoid anything that makes us face ourselves, and in doing so, we stop evolving. Because it's not technology that's killing us. It's comfort without purpose. It's safety without courage. It's life without risk. Our ancestors climbed mountains to survive. We panic when Wi-Fi drops. They fought nature. We argue online. They built fires. We build excuses. And here's the dark irony. The more advanced we become, the more fragile we get. We've made life easy enough to live and hard enough to feel worthless. Struggle once created heroes. Now, struggle creates complaints. Pain used to mean you were alive. Now, it means you're burnt out. But what if the burnout isn't from doing too much? What if it's from doing too little that matters? Struggle was never the enemy. It was the sculptor, shaping us into something higher. Without it, we lose definition. Without it, life turns into soft repetition, comfortable, quiet, meaningless. That's why people chase fake struggle today. Gym challenges, ice baths, survival retreats, cold plunges, because deep down, the human body remembers. It needs resistance to feel alive. But you don't need a retreat to find struggle. You need honesty. You need to stop lying to yourself about how fine you are. Because struggle isn't punishment. It's the proof that you're still fighting for something that matters. If you feel lost, empty, unmotivated, it's not because life is too hard. it's because it's too easy. And the soul suffocates when it's never tested. The world doesn't need more comfort. It needs more people willing to walk through discomfort and come out the other side wiser, not weaker. But comfort doesn't just kill strength, it kills joy. Because the more pleasure we chase, the emptier we feel inside. And that's where the real sickness of modern life begins. We've been sold the idea that happiness means comfort, that if life feels easy, then life is good, that the goal of existence is to feel good all the time. But what if that's the greatest lie of the modern age? Because if you really look around, everyone's chasing pleasure, yet no one looks satisfied. We eat more, scroll more, buy more, talk more, and somehow we feel less. The problem isn't that comfort exists, it's that we started worshipping it. We replaced joy with entertainment, meaning with noise, and fulfillment with validation. You can see it everywhere, in the fake smiles on social media, the endless self-care posts that hide burnout, the late-night scrolling sessions that never end in peace. We've mistaken distraction for happiness. The truth? Happiness has never come from comfort. It comes from growth. It comes from overcoming, from failing and rebuilding, from facing something difficult and realizing you didn't break. But we live in a dopamine economy now. Everything is engineered to keep you almost satisfied, just enough to keep you hooked, but never enough to make you whole. You get a like, dopamine. A sale notification, dopamine. A new episode, dopamine. 100 tiny sparks of pleasure that leave you more numb with every hit. And the worst part, it feels normal because the system doesn't want you happy. It wants you consuming. It wants you chasing the next hit, the next gadget, the next comfort that promises to complete you. But true happiness doesn't scream. It's quiet. It lives in discipline, in patience, in effort. It's found in the moments when you want to quit but don't. In the silence after chaos, when you realize you earned your peace. Most people are so addicted to comfort that real joy feels boring. They confuse calm with emptiness. They confuse peace with loneliness. That's why people can't sit alone in silence anymore, because silence reveals who they've become without struggle. The happiest people aren't the most comfortable ones. They're the ones who've faced life directly, who've walked through pain and learned to breathe inside it. Comfort creates an illusion of happiness, but growth creates the real thing. If comfort were truly happiness, the richest countries would be the most fulfilled. But they're not. Rates of anxiety, depression, and emptiness are higher than ever, because the mind that never faces pain forgets how to feel joy. That's the modern paradox. We've made pleasure easier, but meaning harder. And meaning has always been what made life worth living. So, the next time you're tempted to avoid discomfort, ask yourself, is this choice making me happy or just making me comfortable? Because the difference between the two is the difference between living and existing. But here's the good news. The comfort disease can be cured. The antidote isn't punishment or pain, it's purpose. And once you rediscover it, the world starts to look completely different. The cure for weakness isn't more pain, it's meaning, because pain without meaning breaks you, but pain with meaning builds you. The comfort disease ends the moment you stop chasing pleasure and start chasing purpose. Purpose doesn't always make you happy, but it always makes you alive. Look around at people who seem grounded, calm, powerful. They're not immune to struggle. They've just learned to carry it with dignity. They wake up early not because it's easy, but because discipline gives them peace. They say no to distraction, not because they're stronger than you, but because they've learned what's worth their attention. That's the first cure. Awareness. The ability to recognize when comfort is lying to you. The second is resistance. Do something hard every day, even if it's small. Run when you want to rest. Read when you want to scroll. Speak truth when silence feels easier, because the mind is like muscle. It grows only through resistance. The third is stillness. In a world addicted to noise, silence is rebellion. Every time you sit quietly without reaching for your phone, you reclaim a piece of your mind, and every time you embrace boredom instead of fleeing from it, you remember that your thoughts are worth listening to. And finally, gratitude. Not for what makes life easy, but for what makes it meaningful. Be grateful for the struggle that built you, for the heartbreak that taught you empathy, for the failures that showed you your limits. Those weren't punishments, they were awakenings. The comfort disease thrives on blindness. It dies the moment you see. Because once you understand that comfort is an illusion, you stop being its prisoner, you stop looking for easy lives and start living better ones. So, start small. Wake up earlier than you want to. Do one thing every day that scares you. Read one page that challenges your beliefs. Sit in silence for 10 minutes and face yourself. It won't feel good, but it will feel real. And real is something this world is starving for. The goal isn't to reject comfort completely, it's to stop being owned by it. To use comfort wisely, not worship it blindly, because true peace isn't when life stops being hard. It's when you become strong enough to handle it. We keep asking, why does modern life feel so empty? But the answer isn't out there. It's inside us. It's what we lost when we made life too easy. We forgot that fulfillment isn't found in pleasure. It's found in purpose. It's born from challenge, from creation, from facing resistance and saying, I'm still here. The comfort disease whispers, stay safe, stay small, stay still. But the human soul was never built to stay still. It was built to grow, to hurt, to heal, to become. Maybe you don't need more motivation. Maybe you just need a fight that matters. So if you're tired, restless, or lost, don't escape the discomfort. Lean into it. Let it show you what you've been running from, because buried inside the pain you avoid is the strength you've been searching for. You were not made for comfort. You were made for greatness. And every act of struggle, no matter how small, is a step back toward your true self. So tonight, when the world tells you to rest, to scroll, to numb out, remember this: comfort doesn't love you. It only wants to keep you silent. But the moment you rise, even slightly, the moment you face one small challenge and survive it, the spell breaks. You begin to remember who you are, and that is how you heal the comfort disease.